Pickleball can get confusing and expensive really fast when you're getting started. There are paddles, balls, shoes, accessories, just a bunch of different things people tell you you need when you're getting started. And if you're not careful, you're going to be overspending quite a bit on things that you don't really actually know if you need. So today, I'm going to share the first 7 things I would buy when I'm getting started with pickleball and in the order I would actually buy them. It's not gonna be the fanciest gear or the most expensive gear. It's gonna be the gear that I actually think you would need to get serious into rec play or some competitive play as well. And after these 7 things, most of it is gonna be on you. It's gonna depend on what you need. I'll throw in one bonus one at the end, so stay tuned to the end to find out that bonus one. I have links to all of the items down in the description as well as codes if there are any for discounts. Most of the links down below are going to be affiliate links with affiliate codes, so that helps out the channel at no extra cost to you. So to start off the list, I would say a complete paddle setup is definitely mandatory. You don't want to be playing with one of those paddles you get in a 4-pack. You do want to upgrade as soon as possible. You're going to be able to play with more confidence. It's going to give you a lot more power and pop probably than one of those paddles. And you're just going to be able to play better pickleball right away with a better than starting paddle. Not only that, you do want a full setup, so I would definitely recommend getting some weights and maybe an overgrip. Now, I definitely recommend getting clip-on weights at this point because then you can kind of move around the weights and try different areas on the paddle right away. And that way you can kind of understand how weights can affect your paddle and how it can actually change your paddle by quite a bit. Also, overgrips, because overgrips are just useful for any paddle, you're just going to be able to kind of really tune in on how you want that grip to be. It's also good just for good hygiene to change out those overgrips every so often. So my general recommendation for a starter paddle is definitely to go into a budget range first. So figure out what you want to spend. And I would recommend trying to spend as much as you can on that first paddle without overspending. So if your budget is like $200, anything within that $150 to $200 range is good. Some of the paddles that I recommend a lot of people to start with is something like a Luzz Cannon or a Luzz Glider. Very good Gen 3 paddles. Those are usually typically easy to pick up and learn with. Another pretty decent one is the Vapor Power 2. I think that is actually a decently good paddle to start with. It's just pretty good at everything and it's probably gonna last a very long time. Next up, definitely get a pack of balls. So you're gonna want your own balls for a few reasons, but the main reason being you can drill with them and you can also just have balls whenever you're playing. You do never wanna be held back from playing because you're missing balls. You generally need to just get outdoor balls to start playing, and usually you want to get balls that everybody in your group is playing with. So if they're playing with X40s, just buy some X40s. If they're playing with lifetime balls, which generally most people are playing with lifetime balls, get lifetime balls. You don't need to follow that recommendation, but generally it is probably better to get the balls that you're going to be playing with most. Next up is one that's pretty obvious as well, and that's court shoes. Generally, playing with running shoes in the beginning is okay, but they're not designed for pickleball at all. You're gonna do some awkward lunges, you're gonna have a lot of side-to-side movement. There's normally not a very good heel well inside running shoes or even tennis shoes that kind of give you that lateral movement and foot stability that you actually need. And getting court shoes is definitely one of the top priorities you should look at when you're getting into pickleball, especially if you're playing more seriously and playing for a lot of hours. It's generally going to be better on your feet and also give you better performance. Ones that I recommend, I think Montis pickleball shoes are actually a pretty fair deal. I think for around $80 after code, you get a very good shoe that will last you about like 200 to 300 hours of playtime if you're pretty good with them. And if you want something that lasts a really long time, one of the ones that I've tried with the best outsole is probably the Tyrols. Tyrol has a few of their shoes that use Vibram rubber on the outsole, and that tends to last a very long time. I have had one pair for about 400 hours, and the outsole looks better than my Montis that I've only had for 200 hours. And just based on that, I mean, you're getting a shoe that I think after code is $120, but lasts twice as long. Now, the thing that did end up happening with the Tyrols is the heel started breaking down a little bit, so it was not usable after that 400 hours. But if that hadn't happened, I think I would have been able to get another 200 hours out of those shoes, no problem. The tread still looks really good. Next one plays on the shoes a little bit, and it's kind of a boring one, and that's good pickleball socks. Now, if you're just playing with some running socks, these are going to be a big difference, because if you play long hours and you're kind of getting sweaty, you will get blisters in those socks. There's just a lot more slippage. There's maybe not as much breathability. Pickleball socks are designed to be breathable, have extra padding where it matters, and they actually fit onto your foot and kind of give you some support where you actually need it. And pretty much the same idea as shoes, this helps you with those movements better and also prevents foot injury. The ones that I like to use the most, I've tried a few pickleball socks, the ones that the PPA recommends, the OS1STs. I really like those. They sent a few of them over, and I think they're kind of pricey. They're probably around like $10 per sock, but they definitely provide the most support and comfort inside a shoe that I've ever had on any sock for pickleball. And honestly, if you're not playing every day of the week, a few socks is all you need and you'll be set for pickleball. So I would definitely recommend checking those out. I've also tried the RTP Socks, so I think that's short for Road to Pro. It is a little bit pricier, and it has like those plastic nubs that I normally don't really like on socks. The RTP socks don't actually have as much traction as some of the other ones do, and it actually feels a little bit nicer. There's just more natural slippage that happens, and it feels better than some of the other socks that kind of look like Pilates socks. And so I definitely would recommend checking those out as well. So since we're also on socks, I would also say maybe for some people that might have some foot problems or knee problems, a insole is also a good choice here because it also helps prevent a lot of foot slippage. It absorbs more of that energy coming up your foot so that you don't get as much knee pain as well. Ones that I've tried are the blue Macas, and after the first day that I had them in my shoe, I've never taken them out because they just make the experience so much better for my foot and knees. It actually makes a big difference. I really did not know. The main one being like, I don't know if this happens to everyone, but when you stop really hard in your shoes and you notice that your toes slam into the end of the shoe, when I had the blue Macas, all of that went away. So just for that alone, I think is worth it to check out maybe a better insole. Blue Macas are just the ones that I really enjoyed. The fifth thing I buy is Electrolytes. And it might not seem like Electrolytes is pickleball gear, but it's definitely important for your pickleball game. The main reason is you are losing so much water and salt when you're sweating playing pickleball, especially if it's a long pickleball session. You might not notice right away, but being dehydrated is bad for your kidneys, bad for overall health, and really affects pickleball performance. So I definitely recommend everyone who doesn't get electrolytes during their pickleball sessions to try adding electrolytes. One of the ways I actually noticed is I had a blood glucose monitor, and I would have blood sugar spikes during pickleball. That was mainly because I was playing and my body's releasing glucose so that it can continue working out, but it wouldn't have come down very quickly right after my workout. And this was mainly because I wasn't drinking enough water throughout my workout, and so there was no way for my body to process all of that extra energy when I stopped moving. And so I started adding electrolytes and water during my pickleball session, and I saw immediate changes in that blood glucose. So there's so many things that just being hydrated does. I think hydration will help with performance and also health overall. Now, coming up on the 6th item, we actually have a repeat. This is where I think people can start looking at a second paddle. So why would I get a second paddle here? It's mainly because right around now, at this point, once you got pretty much all of that other gear settled away, you're going to kind of finally understand where the problems or the wants you have in your game are. And so now you can start looking for a paddle that really matches your style of play, as well as maybe it can start solving some of the problems you have with the paddle you had. So say maybe you thought one of your paddles was not poppy enough, you couldn't get those putaways like your opponents are getting. Then you can look for a paddle that's maybe a little bit more poppy, and that could be something like the Aereo Cyclone, that could be something like a Boomstick even. So once you know and understand where your game is and what you need to actually help you there, that's when you can start looking for that second paddle and kind of round out your collection. Not only that, having a second paddle is good, it's good for just having as a backup. Maybe you really like your first one, get that second one. It can be your tournament paddle, it can be a loaner paddle for your girlfriend, wife, friend. And now you at least you have someone else to play with, you have an extra paddle. I definitely will say though, when you do look for that second paddle, make sure you do have some space or time between that first and second paddle where you really understand the likes and dislikes of your previous paddle. And then 7th on this list, and rounding this all out, get a pickleball bag. You just got a bunch of gear, you've probably been using a backpack or just a small bag. A pickleball bag will make it way easier to carry all of that gear you just got. So there's so many different backpacks. I would say start off with a smaller one to begin with, because having a big pickleball bag, you're just gonna wanna fill it up, or it's gonna make you kind of think about filling it up. I think you can start off with a smaller bag, so like maybe the Ford Ranger, that one's a really good bag. Grit also has a new bag. UDrippin has a bag now as well. All of those bags are great. I think there's so many options for good pickleball bags at a relatively good price as a starter bag. It's definitely worth getting a bag. Now, there's a lot of good bags at like this budget price range where it's around $100. You can get a really good pickleball bag. I even have one from Amazon that I'll put down in the description. I think it's like 50 or 60 bucks, and it's a very good bag, and I think most people would be happy with it as a pickleball bag. It's gonna be able to fit all of your pickleball stuff as well as some extras, and I think most people would prefer having a pickleball specific bag rather than just carrying it around in a backpack. It will work in a backpack, but now that you have all this gear, it should be organized, should be easy to get, and it should not stop you from playing pickleball so confusingly. Definitely don't go out and get one of those large tennis style tour bags right away. You're definitely gonna see it empty, and you're gonna just wanna buy even more stuff. Definitely not worth it to get such a big bag right away. It's gonna just weigh you down quite a bit. So, like I promised, I said there would be a bonus one, and so this last bonus one, eye protection. Either you're playing indoor or outdoor, eye protection is actually very, very important if you want to protect your eyes. And Harvard did a study, they think 99% of people should be wearing eye protection during pickleball. And now that there's lifetime balls and how hard they are, it's probably even more important to have eye protection. The balls are going faster, and it's just even more damaging to your eye if you get a direct hit. I've had a friend that had to have surgery already on his eye, and it's fuzzy in his one eye. Every time it hits light, he can't see very well. So just to prevent that, I definitely recommend trying out some eye protection. It obviously doesn't feel great to have something on your face while you're playing all the time, but it's definitely worse than having permanent eye damage. So some I recommend for indoor play. Definitely for me, I would never play with anything with lenses indoor. I've tried everything, the Pilas, the Briodes, and Vantage Labs. I think I just sweat too much, and that starts getting on the lenses, and I just can't be cleaning them all the time. Some of them work better than others. Like I found the Briodes, because they have breathable holes, can let out some of that air, so I can kind of like see a little bit better. It doesn't fog up at least. But overall, I find that indoor, you don't really need those lenses anyway. Just play with lensless ones like kitchen blockers or even the Dinkley glasses. But if you're playing outdoor, I think the Briodes, the Vantage Labs, the Pilas, they all work great. They are kind of expensive, but they all work in a similar way. For me, my favorite looking ones are the Vantage Labs. My favorite ones that keep fog out probably the best are the Briodes, and Pilas, they're just too darn expensive. I didn't want to buy them. I tried them, but I didn't want to buy them. They're just too darn expensive. So that's the order I would buy pickleball gear if I was starting over again. I'd start with the paddle setup, balls, shoes, socks, hydration, a second paddle, and then a bag. After that, you should buy based on your actual needs, and everybody's gonna be different, so definitely kind of start figuring out what's bothering you, what are your problem areas, what you actually like, and start getting more of those. Once again, I'll have all of the links to the items we discussed in the video down below. I'll have also my affiliate codes. Some of them might not have any, but all of the ones that I do have, I'll put them down below. If you want to support the channel, that's one of the ways that you can do it. Let me know down below if you would change the order of any of these, and let me know if you would add anything to this list. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.